Well, welcome to the 2022 initial coaches show with Coach Will Compton. I'm Todd Robinson, and boy, it's time for football season, and I know you guys are ready, and we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming game against the San Marcos Rattlers. But first of all, welcome to folks that are tuning in to watch this initial show, first show with Coach Compton. New head coach for the Hippos, and of course we had a lot of folks out last week at our kind of preview show over at Southside Market. Appreciate them coming out. Appreciate Southside Market hosting us for that. But the Hippos will kick off this Friday night, August the 26th, at San Marcos Rattler Stadium, 7:30 p.m. 7:30 start instead of 7 this year. Boy, we're ready to roll, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. It's been, I got the weather this week, so we're having to deal with that a little bit, but it's been good. And, just excited to see our kids in the first game.
San Marcos comes in, last year, very identical to the Hippos. Had a 5-6 season, lost in the first round of the playoffs. Ironically, they lost to one of our teams, Vandergrift. We lost to one of their district teams at the time, Westlake. Very similar to us. They're also in a new district this year. Of course, a tough one with Conference Judson and Cibolo Steel, which we will also see both. We're playing like half of that district in non-conference. Who set you up for that schedule anyway?
I don't know. Some guy in the press box.
Yeah, right. That's a tough one. So, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, scrimmage last Friday night, or Thursday night, I guess. Thursday night. Got my days wrong. Against Vandergrift. So your first time to really see the Hippos in action against somebody besides themselves. How did you feel coming away from all that? Of course, I had some rain delays and a little bit of stuff that kind of messed everything up. 3 months, and I saw you tweeted this, and I'd been saying the same thing all day. 3 months of no rain and drought, and then, of course, the first time you're supposed to play football, it rains.
Yes, absolutely. I thought our kids did a really good job of adjusting with the rain delay, push back, and we're telling them to get the pads on and then sit back down, pads on, sit back down. And so thought they did a good job adjusting with that. Coming out, thought our freshmen did a phenomenal job. They came out hitting on all cylinders. They looked really sharp. Our JV defense looked really, really good. We got to clean some things up on the JV offense. And then get into the varsity scrimmage. I love the way that we competed. I think that up front defensively, we probably did one of our better jobs, kind of looking at the film last year and kind of seeing how we were able to hold up this year. They did a great job versus the run. And when that first rotation was out there, we gave up one touchdown in that first rotation throughout the whole scrimmage. And so that was very promising for me because, that's a really good Vandergrift team. Offensively, we moved the ball and then kind of shot ourselves in the foot, with here or there, maybe a drop pass or, running back not going the right way on the screen. But all things that we looked at on film, they're all correctable. And so that was kind of what I took away from it. But the effort was absolutely there. And I love seeing our kids fly around.
How did you feel about, obviously for your coaching staff even, that was your first time, you guys' first time to get on the headsets, call plays, do all those kinds of things. Did you feel like the flow from a coaching staff perspective was solid?
I think it's one of those things where, with us bringing in a new staff, and we've talked about it before, coming in late, we're still getting to know each other. And so it was a great dress rehearsal for us as far as, Coach Leonard being able to get on the headsets with the guys in the box and, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm seeing. What are y'all seeing from up there? And just kind of, give them a chance to, kind of talk that out because that's a special bond for the play caller and whoever's in the box with him, and that's what, for the last 2 years, that was me and him talking to each other. And so he's trying to get those guys to, to see kind of what he's seeing and that way we can get the communication going through there. So I think overall, it was successful in learning, where do we need to improve at, and as well as, hey, he did a good job at this.
I know when you do these scrimmages, and we talked about it last week, you try to keep things, especially offensively, you keep them pretty plain. You don't want to show a lot of your cards. So what are the things that you're really looking at? I know obviously effort. You already mentioned that you're looking at effort. But what are some other things that you as a head coach are really kind of focusing in on both during the game, during the scrimmage, and then afterwards when you're looking at film?
Absolutely. So I think, offensively, kind of start right there. I was looking for the tempo, the speed that we were going to get lined up, the speed that we're calling the plays, and going from there, because that's something that we're really stressing on the kids as far as, picking up our tempo and being able to, line up quickly and go from there. And then, as the scrimmage is going on, I'm kind of looking at body language. I want to see when things aren't going correctly, how are we responding to that? And, we had some issues that we had to get corrected kind of later there in the scrimmage. We got frustrated. And so, but again, it was just me pulling those guys aside and talking to them. And, they responded really well. And, so I think that was the good part. Going back off of film, I want to make sure that we're sound. And, first and foremost, defensively, are all the gaps accounted for? Do we have everybody, in a gap and accountable for in the run game? And then offensively, our offensive line, are we taking the right steps?
I noticed, it was kind of fun because we were sitting up in where we normally would in our broadcast booth, which, by the way, we're up here in our brand new press box, kind of first time to do anything up here. Kind of fun view up here, isn't it?
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah,
it is nice.
I mean, probably not quite as good as being on the sidelines. That view's a little bit better. but we were sitting up here during the scrimmage watching, and of course I'm watching plays, watching players, trying to get familiar with some of the things we're doing for our broadcast coming up on Friday. But I was watching you, and I was watching a lot of your coaches as well, and I was really impressed with when kids made mistakes, and even things like drop passes. That you guys were putting your arm around them and encourage them. And, as a coach, and you've had a lot of history of doing that, but give folks a little insight into where's that line of encouraging versus, hey, kind of cracking down on them a little bit.
I think it's, you got to know your player, and that comes down to relationships. And the coaches have done a really good job of developing those relationships. And there was a couple times where I had my arm around a kid and maybe looked like I was loving him up, but it may have been a little bit more tough love in those private conversations. But to everybody else, it's just my arm around them, and they think we're encouraging where we could have been correcting. And I think that our coaches are doing a really good job right now of being able to coach up the kids and get it corrected without yelling and screaming and those type of things. I think that, what we're trying to teach our kids is that, one mistake, let's go to the next play. Let's go to the next play instead of dwelling on something and letting one play turn into 4 or 5 bad plays.
So that scrimmage obviously kind of culminated the couple of weeks of fall practice, and now, this week obviously you instantly start working on, probably on Friday actually, you started working on getting ready for San Marcos. But as you reflect back on, those couple of weeks of practice, the summer, even summer workouts, things like that. What are some things that you really saw and you took away, not only from individual players, but even relationship building between players and new coaches and system and those kind of things?
And the thing that I've been most impressed about is the attendance. We have kids showing up on time. We have a 6:45 report time, pretty much steady through the whole thing. And, I mean, we're having, all of our kids, for the most part, are here at that time. Or we're getting a text message from them to let us know, hey, Coach, I'm running behind. Hey, Coach, the train's stuck in the and so I can't get across right now.
Get used to those.
I'm getting used to that. That's a new one.
Yeah.
And so, that's been impressive is the communication with the kids, and then I think our coaches have done a really good job of developing those relationships and kind of getting to know them, and then knowing how to push the buttons the way that we need to going forward. And so I think that has been good. And then the tightness of the group has been really, really good. We have our leadership council that we talked about before. Mm-hmm. We met again this Monday morning at 6:45. They got to vote on captains and then, kind of what awards we're going to give weekly. And so I think that, they have the team's heart and mind. And I think that, it's definitely moving in the right direction. And you can kind of see that. I saw it on the sidelines. I saw it, especially in that freshman group. We had our white team was out there playing, and then the B team, the orange team got an interception, and all of a sudden all the white teams cheering them on and things like that. And that's the little things that we have to do is celebrate the success of every athlete in our program.
There was even from way up here, the buzz and the excitement, the enthusiasm that was coming from the sidelines, we could hear it up above. So that was impressive. And I'm sure those kids are they're just ready to play football, right, against somebody besides themselves.
Absolutely. They're ready to get after it. We talk to our coaches about it's a live bench. When they come off the field, say defense comes off the field, they should directly go straight to their bench. Defensive coaches should, coach up corrections, talk about everything else. And then we should have breakout sessions. We shouldn't be game watching, and that's what we got to do. We got to do a great job of it. We got to be able to make corrections on the field, from what we're seeing from the press box, being able to communicate that down. And I think our coaches did a good job for the first one, and it's only going to continue to get better from here.
When you think about your time as a coach, and you've been doing this for a long time, and 3 months ago, you didn't picture yourself being here in Hutto as head coach of the Hutto Hippos. You were probably already beginning to think about some things for Johnson and some things you guys were going to do. But here you are now. This is Tuesday that we're filming this. You're 3 days out from being a head coach of the Hippos on Friday night. Talk a little bit about just your excitement and how you're feeling right now.
It's kind of a mixed bag of feelings. It's excitement. It's you want to make sure that all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and you always feel like you're forgetting something, and so it's kind of.
And you probably are.
I probably am. I've tried to.
That's okay.
Tried to go through everything, but it's exciting. And that's what I keep on bringing to it, and I want to make sure that we represent the Hippo Nation like it needs to be represented, and that's in the way that we play. That's the way that we represent ourselves. That's the way that we act. I want to be that shining light for Hutto, the community and the high school. And so it's kind of all those things put in together, and making sure that are we doing all those things and constantly checking and double checking. And I think luckily I got a great support system with our administration as well as our coaches who've really bought into it, and so it's made my life a little bit easier.
Talk about what game week looks like for you, or even game preparation. And again, you started this one you had a day advance on this one because you scrimmaged last Thursday, so you started working on Friday for this Friday's game. But generally, you would start on Saturday of getting ready for the next week. But kind of talk us through that. What does that look like from the time you begin preparation for game week up until that Friday?
So in a normal week, like you said, we scrimmaged on Thursday. San Marcos actually scrimmaged Friday, so we didn't get the quick extra day of going over everything. But normally what happens is that we come in Saturday morning, 7:30 to 8 o'clock, where we're going to grade our film from the previous night, and then we're going to start breaking down the next week's opponent. We'll stay up here from about 8 to 12. And then go home, go spend time with your families after that. We come back up on Sunday at 12, and it's 12 to around 6 of game planning, special teams, and all of that. Then Monday and Tuesday are kind of our longer days where we really get after it, getting in our install of what we got going on into the next week. Wednesday's kind of our polish day, so to speak. So we're going to kind of bring it back off of them just a little bit, let them get their legs back underneath them. And then Thursday is probably my favorite day. Thursday is our, we call it play the game. And so we start with our family fun stations where, we have little competition stations to kind of get us loose with those varsity guys. And then we basically, kick the field. We play the game as far as kickoff return, and going through all those different phases that you might go through in a game. But Thursday's my favorite day. And then we have our family dinner that evening, with all of our team players. And then Friday, come in, you have your offensive defensive meetings. We're going to have our breakfast with dads on Friday morning,
nice.
Which is going to be an awesome thing. And, the offensive defensive meetings, go to class and pep rallies and everything else, and get ready to get on the bus and let's go get a victory.
What does that breakfast with dads look like? Is that do you those dads have a chance, for any dads that are listening, and this is obviously a chance to encourage them to come out, but do you talk about game planning and some things like that with them?
No, it's those one of the things, whenever we were kind of developing our leadership council and stuff like that, I reached out to the kids and I said, man, what's something that y'all have done that we need to keep doing? I don't want to cancel anything that y'all really enjoy doing. And so Breakfast with Dads was one of the things that they talked about. And so it was kind of organized by Jalen Banks' dad. He set it up so dads could come up there and have breakfast with the football players and kind of talk life up to them. Not really X's and O's, but just more life situations, and giving them a support system to talk to, which I think is as soon as they told me what it was about, I was like, I'm down. JJ, give me your dad's number and let's get this set up.
Have you heard him speak yet?
I have not. So I'm excited to get with him.
He'll fire you up. He is very motivational. Melvin is. He's a great, and of course JJ is such a great kid and has such a bright future as well. That takes a lot after his parents. You'd mentioned earlier captains, and I actually had that in my notes. So do you allow the players or your leadership council to choose the captains, and is it captains by game, or is it do you have season-long captains?
We go by game, and so the six off the leadership council, they got to pick 4, as well as our offense and defensive coordinator and myself.
Okay.
And so to go through, and then those whoever had the most votes that week, that's who's going to be our captains for the week. And so kind of gives incentive. The kids see that this kid's working extra hard this week. Hey, let's let him be a captain and things like that. And so that's kind of how it's supposed to play out.
Do you have certain criteria or check boxes, or is it just kind of one of those? Hey, just watch for the week and just kind of see who's worthy of that?
Yeah, I don't have a set criteria, just because one of those things where I want the kids to have a little bit of freedom as far as why they want to be, why do they want this kid as a captain, and then you have to do a good job with your leadership council that it doesn't turn into a popularity contest.
Sure.
That they're actually picking the guys who are putting in the work. And so our captains this week, we have Brody is going to be a captain, Will, Kenny, and JJ. And so, and those are 4 guys that are phenomenal representatives of our program. And, it wasn't, let's pick 2 offensive guys and 2 defensive guys or anything like that. It was just like, all right, give us 4 guys. And
just worked out that way.
Yeah, we actually had about 10 guys that had votes on there. And so I could see, one of those guys, being a captain, in the future. And I think that's an honor for the kids, and definitely something that they're all working for.
Well, it says a lot that you had that many who were actually interested or who got the votes. That meant that many had kind of done something in the eyes of their peers to be worthy of that as well.
And I think that's big for, whenever you're developing a program or coming into a program, is that the kids have to have ownership to a certain extent inside of that program. And if that means, letting them help pick the captains for the week, definitely. I think that's a great way for them to have ownership inside of that. And, now they're feeling like, hey, coaches, we're speaking and coach hears us. And I think that goes a long ways for them.
You talked a little bit at the event last week about the leadership council, and just mentioned it earlier. And then we talked about character development, and that's one of the things that has really been important to you through your years as a coach. I noticed this week some things you tweeted out that you kicked off the character development program. What does that look like?
So, yeah, we actually did our first one last Friday, and then we did our varsity had theirs today, which is our Mackey two words. Mackey Speaks. And so Mackey's a guy that I met probably 5-6 years ago now. It seems like it's been forever. This is the 3rd time that I've ran through his program, the 2 words. It started all over. And so it's a video-based character development program where he gives you 2 words a week, 10-minute video. And whenever you start new with this program, you go back to season 1. So this is my 3rd time doing season 1. So I'm pretty familiar with it as we go through. And so this week our 2 words were sacrifice required. And so it talks about, for us to be successful or for them to be successful, there's going to be things in their life they're going to have to sacrifice, whether it be, their time, their money, their relationships.
Sure.
And so, and then we had that talk about it. How does that affect us in football? And so we talked about that a little bit. And then we talked about that, what things are we going to have to sacrifice so we can be successful in life. And that was, kind of a little bit deeper talk. And we do that, and then we kind of break into our offensive defensive meetings. And, that'll just be, kind of those couple things that we talk about. So when we have our family dinner on Thursday night, we'll talk a little bit about sacrifice required. When we have our pregame talk, it'll be about sacrifice required. And so it kind of plays into your week. And, I love Stephen Mackey's stuff, and so he's a good friend of mine, and hopefully we'll get him down here this spring to be able to talk to all of our kids.
That's fantastic. Do the guys in your experiences with this, does that kind of resonate with the kids, and do they throughout the week really kind of reemphasize those words?
Yeah, it's it's actually been funny. You know, it's one of those things where it seems like it's the message that you need at the right time that you need it. You know, it was you know, kind of as I've gone through it, you know, 3 times now, is like, man, you know, you see something on the field or something like that, and then you go in to watch your Mackey Speaks that week, and it's like that addressed exactly that same thing that you're going through. And you know, we've talked about the kids about picking up our tempo in practice and things like that, and so you know, we were able to tie that back into, you know, sacrifice required. You know, you're gonna have to, you know, sacrifice a little bit more effort to make the offense run at the tempo that we want to run at.
Do you do this throughout the entire season, or does it extend even beyond the season, and it's just a year-long thing?
It's a year-long thing, so it's 36 weeks.
Okay,
is what you get with the program. And you know, the great thing is that we're doing it down at Farley. We're doing it at Hutto Middle School. The 9th grade campus started theirs on Friday. They'll do theirs Friday, and then we're doing it, you know, in football and swimming and volleyball.
Just all sports.
All sports.
That's
and so
great.
Everybody's getting this message, and you know, it gives us a central base of character development. You know, those social emotional needs need to be met, and you know, it's not always just X's and O's.
Right.
Again, we're trying to build up young men and young women to be productive citizens once they stop playing.
Well, and I would imagine that with that many athletes, student athletes that are doing this, there's some real leadership opportunities throughout the school for probably kids who maybe they have a friend that's not a student athlete that isn't going through this, that they're able to kind of speak that into those kids a little bit and those other ones.
Absolutely. And then we talk about that, you know, we talk about, you know, our athletes are, you know, leaders inside of the school, you know, or should be. And so, you know, when they see somebody that's, you know, maybe by themselves or, you know, looks like they have a rough day, you know, maybe that's an opportunity for you to go strike up a conversation, you know, and you know, I think that's how we become, you know, more tight-knit as a community and definitely as a school.
So as we move into game time on Friday, I know, you know, folks that have followed the Hippos for the last couple of years, there's certain players' names that they're very familiar with. You know, Will Hammond, obviously, Brody Boyno, J.J. Banks, we mentioned, Kenny Settles, some of those guys. Tell us a little bit about some kids who stood out during these last couple of weeks of practices, maybe turned some heads, and maybe some ones that might surprise some people.
You know, I think, you know, I was talking with Coach Sanders on, you know, Thursday night. The group that's impressed me the most has probably come the furthest is the offensive line. I mean, those guys right there, you know, the no-name guys that nobody knows about, they've really bought into it. They've been doing a great job. You know, we got Honeycutt at the left tackle. He had a great summer with some camps and things like that. But they've kind of just developed that hard-nosed mentality that they're gonna, you know, come off the football and you know, fight you the best they can. Offensively, as far as skill-wise, I think they've had a great one. You know, Alex Green had a great summer. You know, he's really opened up some eyes, and he's learning the system in and out. And then Gary Choice is explosive. You know, I think that, you know, I'm looking for big things for him in the return game, as well as you know, some Thursday night he was got him wide open a couple times, and you know, we just didn't quite execute the way we wanted to. But again, those are correctable things. Over on the defensive side, I thought that, you know, just like we're talking about the offensive line, I thought the defensive line played phenomenal. Junior Torres up front, you know, is doing a great job right there, and then a mix between Caden Patrick and Simmons there, and then Tristan, my son, is in the rotation there at defensive tackle and nose guard, and so I thought they did a really, really good job. And then with the linebackers, obviously you got Brody, who's you know been a 4-year starter for us, and Jalen Parkinson is long and off the edge, and I think he's going to be a tough matchup for some guys.
You mentioned your son. As a coach with a son who plays varsity football for you, do you try to when y'all leave practice, do you try to leave it there, or are y'all constantly talking football?
No, it was funny. We actually talked about that when we talked about sacrifice required today. Is, you know, for this team to be successful, one of the things that I end up sacrificing is time with my family. And, you know, I went through last week. I actually didn't talk to Tristan until Thursday. You know, we shoot each other texts like we're long distance friends, but we didn't actually like sit down and actually talk until Thursday when we rode to school together. And so we do a pretty good job. He's been on varsity for me since his freshman year. He was our H-back at Johnson that very first year, which was our very first year of varsity. He came up, played varsity for us last year. And so we do a really good job of trying to leave it at the school just because, Mom doesn't want to hear us nagging at each other whenever we get to the house. And but he's a coach's kid. He's been around it. He'll come and he'll bring me his phone and, hey, on Hutto, hey, did you see this and this and this? Okay, if you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it, but I'm not going to drill it in and things like that. I think it's good to get a break.
How so? Take you back a few years when you were a kid, high school kid, playing for your dad, right? Because your dad was your coach. You didn't have that. Didn't have text messaging. Didn't have Hutto. All those things. Were you and your dad kind of like you and your son where you left there, or was it more like y'all talked football all the time?
We talked football all the time. And, whether it was – and we got along great during football season. Football season was great. It was whenever we went into basketball or powerlifting or track and I was like, man, you know football, but I don't know if you know this. And so we argued through all the other ones. And so,
Because as a high school student, you certainly knew more than your dad.
Dude.
Because all do. They all do.
I thought I knew so much, and then when I got my first coaching job, about 2 weeks into it, I called my dad and apologized. I was like, "Oh, Dad, I'm sorry, man. I thought I knew everything, but obviously I did not." And so I'm seeing it now with these kids.
I think that's how we all are, right? As we get older, we just not everybody goes back and apologizes like you did to your dad for you were right. I'm still waiting for that for my sons to give me that. Okay, question about you personally. Game days. You have any superstitions or little ritual things that you do every game?
So the one we started, I guess we started probably back in 2008, is game day socks. And it's just kind of one of those little funny things for us. The boys used to go pick out my socks.
Yeah.
They would pick out, and they could pick out whatever they wanted to pick, and that was going to be my game day socks. And so my wife brought them in the other day, and so I got they're green hippo.
Okay. I was going to say there's some strong hippo socks out there.
Yes, and so I got some. They're green and black with hippos on them, and those would be my Friday game day socks. As far as anything else, I don't really have like a superstition type thing. Like to eat chicken on Fridays. I do like to do that. And so that's probably the only thing with the socks and give some fried chicken.
You don't have to come out at a certain time.
Socks and give some fried chicken.
You don't have to come out at a certain time or stand at a certain place during the national anthem or any of those kind of things.
No. That type of stuff I don't pay attention to just a whole lot.
So is the sock game, is it something that's the same pair all year long, or will you have different socks throughout the season?
This year I only got the one pair. So
I think this is an opportunity for people to get you some hippo socks.
Give me some more hippo socks, and I will rock the hippo socks. So
okay.
I guess it was probably back in 2010. I guess it was 2012. I have every Marvel comic.
Nice.
So I mean, I got them all.
So your sock game's pretty strong.
They're still there. I don't wear them as much as I used to. Then we always had Wednesday sock day. We'd have our Captain America socks. I had the cape coming out the back.
Nice.
I mean, it was pretty good.
Very fun. Yeah, the whole sock thing the last few years has really changed. Even old men like me, it's like I get into some of those some of the fun socks. All right, tell us a little bit about San Marcos, the Rattlers. Give us a little scouting report. Did y'all, since they did scrimmage the day after y'all, were y'all able to go check out their scrimmage and learn a little bit?
So they scrimmaged Laredo South down in Jordanton.
You probably didn't go down there.
So yeah, it was a little bit of a distance for us, and so we didn't get to go see them in person. Kind of the breakdown that I'm seeing, man. They're an explosive offensive team, multiple formations, got a great running back. They got the offensive line. They got multiple offers. Big left tackle, about 6'7".
Yeah, I saw that. Texas football.
Yeah, Texas, LSU have both offered on him, and so he's a large human, and so we're gonna have to get in there and fight with him. The running back, they have two running backs that had over 1,000 yards last year, and a mobile quarterback, and so they do some good things on the offensive side of the ball that we're gonna have to make sure that we're sound and we line up right. On the defensive side, they're quick. They're a little bit smaller than Vandergriff, who was huge. And so, but they do a really good job. They kind of mix in their coverages, and so we got to make sure that we get our matchups in the right spot and basically get the right guys in the right place so that we can have some big plays.
Their just a little tidbit. I don't know if you knew this. Their quarterback is actually the nephew of two of our staff members, Joe DeLeon, who's part of our family parent engagement team, and then his and Joe's wife Lisa is one of our teachers over at Veterans Hill. So yeah, that quarterback is their nephew. So yeah, Joe has made it very clear he cheers for the Hippos all the time, but Friday night he'll be cheering for his nephew, which that's fair. But we hope that he doesn't have a really good game. What about for the Hippos? So people that have watched the Hippos the last few years, what things might they see that are going to be different, like scheme-wise or anything else that might have a different look from what they're used to?
I think on the offensive side, tempo is what we're really focusing on, and that's what the kids have talked about. That we're going to play a lot faster. As far as we don't have as many audibles and checks and things like that. It's more about let's line up fast, let's call a play, let's execute it, let's go to the next play, and hopefully we're able to execute at a tempo that we're expecting. We're getting there. So everybody's like, man, we're going really fast, and me and Coach Leonard looking at each other like, we're getting there.
It's like it's not that fast.
We're not that fast yet, and so, but that's probably the biggest thing that people are going to see. And then I think one area that's going to be phenomenal, and I'm really excited about seeing it, is our special teams. Coach Gaylor, who's our special teams coordinator, is a very creative guy, does some great things. And then Tim Hollenbeck is phenomenal kicker. I did not know how good he was until we actually started getting out there. And so he's out there knocking down 45-yarders yesterday, and just has an absolute cannon for a leg. And so I'm excited to see what he's able to do with it.
And then as far as any other aspect of the game, uniforms, everything. Did we have a new uniform look this year, or?
Yeah, uniforms are kind of a touchy subject right now.
Oh, okay.
And so we're actually going to be in gray for this game. We had to call over, and our white uniform wasn't all the way in yet, and so call Coach Walsh over at San Marcos, and so we're going to go gray on white. They're going to be in purple, so we figured that was a good
enough contrast. Yeah.
And then we're at home for the next 3 games.
Right.
And then, by that time, the rest of our uniforms should be in. It's just ever since COVID happened, everything's so backed up, and that, getting some of the things, like jerseys or things that have a zipper in them, and, just kind of crazy things all over, have been a little bit more time challenging of getting all those in. So once we get our new uniforms in, they look very similar to last year's.
Yeah.
With a little bit different number style on them, and so I'm excited to show those off once we get out there.
And as far as weather, are you a guy that keeps an eye on the weather all the time? And I think right now it's showing about a 40% chance of rain on Friday. And how much does that change anything for you?
It doesn't change a whole lot for us. We kind of, obviously you have your weather plan that you need to, and it's more about your packing and making sure that you take everything that you need for those weather games. Are you taking the stuff for the cameras, to cover those up, the end zone camera and things like that? Are you taking, stuff for your footballs to make sure they keep dry, and taking enough towels? And, we'll make sure we have all that type of stuff for, the preparation of it. But, in the end, they're playing in the same weather we are.
That's true.
And, focus on what we can control.
That's right.
I can't control the weather.
Well, we are excited about your first game as a Hippos head coach. Obviously, we're just excited that football's back, and really, for all intents and purposes, it seems back kind of normal. Even last year, things were still kind of crazy. We had COVID stuff going on last year when we kicked off the season. Of course, we didn't get to even play here, except for one game, which ironically was Vandergrift. So we've now played Vandergrift here twice, a game and a scrimmage. But yeah, I think people are just, as I'm hearing people talk, they're just so excited that football's back and really back to normal. High school, college, and NFL. It's just, we're all football crazed, so it's going to be fun. That'll be Friday night in San Marcos at Rattler Stadium. It's about a hour and a half drive or so to get down there. So certainly make that drive if you can. We would love to have a really good following of Hippos. Our fans always travel really well. You've probably seen it in the past, but the Hippos, sometimes at road games we have more fans than home teams do. So we would love to see that happen. But if it not, then certainly you can tune in and watch the ball game on watchthehippos.com. Just like last year, we'll have an $8 pay-per-view charge, but figure that's less than the price of a ticket to go to the game. So join us on watchthehippos.com if you can't be there. We'll hopefully the Hippos come off with a win, start 1-0, and then we'll be back next week and we'll talk about that game and then look forward to the following game. So, Coach, good luck in your first game as Hippos coach.
I appreciate it.
All right, have a great week.